Hello and welcome back to the Gazelle's Sunday report. I promised you last time this would be a series of short videos, but today there are so many changes and we have so many topics to discuss, so we need a little bit more of extra time. So the first and the most visible change is we left Las Vegas and we are now in Crete Air Force Base north in the desert. So that's because, according to my last video, the special video about frames per second, uh, here in Crete Air Force Base, my PC, my graphic card, delivers me 20 frames per second more than in Las Vegas International Airport. And as far as, for my opinion, and as far as can feel it in the controls, that makes a huge difference in flight controls, in feeling the flight controls, feeling flight attitude, and controlling the Gazelle. It's still hard work, but for me, it's a notable difference. So as you can see, hover and following the lines is improved since last week. And my voice, even my voice is improved. That's actually the biggest improvement since last Sunday. So everything I do is not just flying for fun. I try to follow the lines. I try to keep the helicopter control along visible markers. Right now, I'm following the taxiway center line. Landing points are usually crossroads or points like here where lines crossing or lines changing direction or something like that. So for everything I need, or for everything I use a visual marker, a visual reference I try to follow, or I try to reach during approach or something like that. So if I don't do that in the video, it's because I'm not able to. So easy that it is. So let's follow the taxiway center line. Bring it into a hover and go down to the ground. I take a big breath, so actually I rest my arm on my stomach, and in hover I'm a little bit afraid if I breathe too hard, so my arm will be moving too much and I lose control, so I stop breathing actually. And but when I touch the ground and when the helicopter is on the ground and everything is fine, so first I need is a deep breath, fresh air. So we're hovering on along the center line, and now we start a takeoff. Even during takeoffs, I try to keep it center on the runway. And after the 2 or 3 minutes hover, it's a little bit relaxing when starting into the traffic pattern. So as you can see, even my banks are improving. So I didn't lose that much on altitude. I can hold my airspeed. So the variations in altitude and airspeed are not that big than last week. So even there is a for me it's a big improvement. And actually I have enough time to and brain power left now to make some clear decisions. So right now we try to land on the parking area at the end of the runway. So we're heading direct to the parking area. It's now located a little bit over the instrument panel, and when approaching a landing area we try to keep our landing spot at the same place on the windshield. Right now it's a little bit over the control panel, and we're controlling airspeed with the cyclic stick and altitude with the collective. And when we get closer to the landing area, it should move slowly below the helicopter. So that's the point. I'm still working on it, so my approaches are a little bit too short. So I have to hold the helicopter with the collective in the air and keep hard trying not to lose too much airspeed, not to come to a full stop before reaching the landing area. And as well, the designated landing point is in the center of the parking area. So lower collective and touchdown. That's not that bad. Deep breath, and again take off into a hover. Pedal turn. So there's another change I made in control adjustments. I flew last week with a curve on the cyclic with 6. The numbers are 6. I reduced it to 4 because of part 2 of this video, so we talk about later. I made the adjustment. I reduced the curve from 6 to 4. I've been trying to reduce it to 0, but after reducing it to 0, it wasn't possible to hover for me anymore. So I was over controlling all the time. So 4 for me would be the best compromise between a good reaction in forward flight and a smooth reaction in hover. So let's follow the taxi center line to the runway. So that's what I do over the week. So the same as you can see here in the video, that's what I do over the week. I try to fly at least 30 minutes a day with the Gazelle, and I didn't shoot one rocket the last 6 days. So I'm simply try to control the aircraft, try to hover, try to follow the center lines, and then I start into the traffic circuit, or I try to pick up some speed, accelerate, decelerate, and control changes and stuff like that. So that's funny enough for me. It's challenging and makes a lot of fun, even if you see progress in the things you're doing. So right now we're accelerating to 150 km per hour. Then we decelerate by lowering the collective and just pulling on the cyclic stick as much as necessary to keep the helicopter at the same altitude. And when it starts to descend, to shaking because of using translational lift, then we'll level off and going over to a normal approach and touchdown at the point right now, at the point where the center line is changing direction. That's perfect. And again into a hover. Stay on the center line, pick up some speed, hold it straight with the pedals. And now we're starting part 2 of the video. Low level, high speed flight. That's the point. Okay, no, not yet. Again, deceleration. And touchdown. Deep breath, and again. Now we're starting part 2 of the video. So last week in the last days before I changed my adjustments on the flight controls in low level high speed flight, because of my intention not to move the cyclic stick during the hover, all my reactions on the cyclic stick are not fast enough or not strong enough. So in low levels flight, I always crashed into the ground. If something goes wrong, just a little bit, I crashed into the ground because my reactions are too late and not strong enough, or because of the curve. I move the collect the cyclic stick more, but in the first moments nothing happens because of the curve I adjusted. So I drifting to the left. That's not intended. The intention is to land at the cluster of the center lines or at the center of the runway crossing. And what's difficult for me today is flipping over from nearly no movements on the cyclic during hover and bigger movements during the high speed low level flight, and then back to no movements in to hover. That takes me a few seconds, and it doesn't look very nice, and oops, yeah, these the moments I already talked about. Normally I would crash at these situations, just to lose a little bit of control over the helicopter close to the ground, and normally my reactions are too late, but with the change in the curve on the cyclic, it gets much better. And now we go back from high speed low level flight to hover. Boah. That gets some headaches. But we're still safe. Shaking out my hands because my right arm, it's getting hard like steel. So I'm just shaking a little bit my right arm. Take a deep breath again, and now I'm changing direct from the high speed to a low speed maneuver. So bring it back into a hover, and now I'm making a hover turn around the building in front. Try to keep speed, try to keep direction, the nose pointed out to the building, try to keep the altitude above the ground. And not bottom not least, control. Yeah, that's the most important point. Keeping control all the time. So as I already mentioned, that's challenging, but that's a lot of fun in helicopter flying. For me, it's more fun than firing the rockets. I also do that, but right now at this time, as I'm still have problems to control the Gazelle in a way I prefer. I would like to. So my main focus is on flight training, coordination training. Okay, back to our landing point, cluster of center lines, and lower the collective, touchdown. Okay, these are the improvements in the last 7 days. There's only 1 point left. I'm not sure if you realized it, but there are some touchdowns from hover. They are not that good, so they are actually very hard. And for my opinion, there's a big difference in tolerance between Las Vegas International and these desert airports, because of my pilot didn't lose consciousness. I still have all the parts on the helicopter. I don't lose any parts of the helicopter, even if I hit the ground a little bit harder. For me, it feels like there is more tolerance here in Crete Air Force Base than in Las Vegas International. It's just a feeling, but if you have the same experiences, please let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in the video about the frames and the influence of frames per second to the flight controls, there's also the link to the direct link to the video in the comments below, and or you can find the video on my YouTube channel under specials. So and okay, our landing zone is in the middle of the centerline cluster, but as I mentioned before, switching from fast low-level flight to hover, it's challenging, at least at the first flight of the day. It's getting better in the second or in the third flight. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. Hope you see you next time, and on at least next Sunday, or maybe 1 week later. I don't know. It depends on changes this week. Thank you very much. See you. Bye bye.